All right, well, we just saw some factoring up in problem number 5 there, and so we're going to do the two-step factoring problem here. This one's a little bit more turbo because we have a number out in front. And so what we need to do is we need to find the product of these two things. We're going to go first to our diamond problem and then to our box. The product of those two things. Now up here we didn't include x's or x squareds or anything. Here we will, just to kind of keep track of what's going on. 2x squared and negative 7 is a negative 14x squared. Okay, and then we have the middle term here that goes on the bottom, negative 13x. So we're looking at two terms that multiply to get negative 14x squared, but add together to get negative 13. Okay, the only two things that you can kind of, you think 4 and 2 when you look at that initially, but 4 and 2 will give you a 9, or if you subtract them, it'll give you a 5. That's not going to work here. We often overlook the 14 times 1, though. And 14x and 1x will actually give you a negative 13 if your 14 is negative. So we're going to take these, and instead of going straight to the factors like we did in the previous problem, we're going to have to take them and go to a box. Okay? Now, don't jump the gun. It's not this stuff that we're putting in the box technically. It's these 3 items. Technically, you're taking 3 items and breaking them up into 4 boxes. And if you always start with the correct 2, you got your 2x squared down here. X squared, we just always seem to put it in the lower left corner. And then negative 7, we'll just always put that in the upper right corner. It's the 13, the negative 13x that gets split into these 2 spots. Now, there's a whole lot of different ways you can do that. However, if you've done the diamond, there's only one way that those, well, I guess there's 2 ways because you can switch them, but it doesn't matter then. What I usually do is I take this thing that's on the left and put it in the left box, negative 14x, and I take the one that's on the right, that's a 1x, and put it over here. Once you get it here, it's pretty easy to say, okay, well, let's look at this column and see what these 2 items have in common. Well, they both have an x, first of all, and they're both even. And so since this is a 2, let's just take the 2 out, and the 2x is what those 2 boxes have in common. Now you look here, and there's not a whole lot that they have in common at all. There's a 1x here, okay, and there's a negative 7. They're not the same sign, they don't have numbers in common, but if that's the case, they'll always have a 1. And the reason I put a positive here, even though that's a negative, is the box that's closest is positive, so 2x plus 1 is the best we can do here. Now we're going to look to the rows, okay, and these 2 items here, the only thing they have in common is that x. Okay, when you have an x, it's a 1x, pretty much you're either going to be able to take out a 1 or an x. So we took out the 1 here and the x here, and again, if you look, this times that should give you that. So that's, and this times that gives you that. It's pretty consistent. How about up here? Now, they're both negative, but more importantly, this one's negative. Okay, they're not both even, but 14 and 7, you can take out a negative 7. Okay. And that's it. Once you get to this point, you've identified your factors. You just got to be able to put them in kind of an answer form, and that's in these sets of parentheses that we started. So one of the factors is going to be x minus 7, and the other one is going to be a 2x plus 1. All right. Same thing happens here. You're going to want to start by finding the product of this. You're going to set up your diamond, and the product goes on top. That little guy just goes directly down here to the bottom. And then when you start your box over yonder, put that like that. Just start with your 3x squared goes down here, and your negative 6 goes up there. And it's what you end up getting in these 2 boxes here that get split up into those. So use this as a guide, and I'd like to see you try and finish that one.